I'm glad.
We're live at Expert35. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia. And as promised, experts from 35 different industries talking about the challenges, the hardship, and the opportunities. And today we're going to be talking about opportunities, what to do with our money, what should we do, what could we do, what should have done, and now where we're headed. And we got nobody else but Expert 12, OG Expert 12. Jordan, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Gabe. I'm excited.
Before we jump in, if you want to follow the conversation, you can text Expert35 to the number on the screen, and you'll hear all about Jordan and how her financial advising expertise. She's Expert 12, and you do offer like a free consultations to like see if you're a good match with the clients. And now with Zoom, you can do it from anywhere. So,
that's right.
CFS CRPC. You got so many. What does that even mean? What do you got behind? What is the alphabet soup?
Yeah, so it's these are all my credentials. It's a certified fund specialist and a chartered retirement planning counselor, and those are just many hours put into those certifications. So I can put them behind my name, but allows me to be an expert in investing and financial planning.
What's ACE?
AC.
It's A's because you're a tennis player, right? I'm just kidding. You should totally put that on there. You should just put ACE after it and just like throw it on there. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So what is this photo? What are you doing?
Okay, yeah. So this is actually a photo from October of 2019 at the USTA National Tournament. I was there for mixed doubles when my team actually placed second place in the nation in our division. So we it was hot out there in Orlando, but this is one of the action shots to get us to that second place.
Awesome. So so totally keep adding letters to your acronym. Now you're going to start playing golf. But how did you get into it? You were a Coug. You went to U of H. Mm-hmm. And studied math. Tell us a little bit, how did you get into this world?
Yeah, so my background is in mathematics. Actually, at U of H, I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics with a specialization in mathematical finance. Mm-hmm. And, after school, I was just kind of poking around, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my math degree. It's so versatile, but maybe I ran into some roadblocks with that. I need a little less options, but I found Mansky Wealth. They do a professional development program, which is really selective. I was really lucky to be chosen to be part of the small group that went through this professional development, and kind of saw what was going on at the firm, along with just general, resume updates, things like that. It wasn't really a financially focused program, but seeing what was going on at this office and seeing, the incredible culture and how it aligned with, my morals and my moral compass. And I, expressed interest in, I think this is something I could do for this company. And, the rest is kind of history. I've been here ever since.
And you got the licenses, obviously, because you have to go through the training. And now you help people kind of really manage their wealth and have a strategy. Because a lot of people, it's a full-time job to manage your wealth, especially at some level. So that's kind of what you do for them, right?
Right. Yeah. It's, people, they're not always interested in it. And even if they are, sometimes they don't have time to manage their finances on a day-to-day. A lot of people I work with are executives at consulting firms. And so they're traveling all over the place. They sure don't have time, but, they have such an opportunity to grow their nest egg and accomplish a lot in their lives. And we are their support system to take that burden off of them.
Awesome. Well, let's start off. What's the economic and market outlook? Like, what is it looking like with this new normal?
Sure. Yeah. Well, back in March and April, we saw just some crazy market activity. Things were really ugly. There was a lot of doom and gloom being preached in the media, but just part of our, routine, kind of always being plugged in with what's going on. We were kind of prepped for a pullback, just a general market pullback and the cycles of the market. So we had a lot of cash on hand, which, people were kind of itching up to March. Why are we holding on to so much cash? But we were really able to take advantage of some of those market lows back in March and April and make some good buys for our clients. Since then, the market's recovered. I think a lot of the old adages of, this is unpredictable and trying to take a stab at what's going to happen next, I don't think if someone is in my position telling you what's going to happen next, I think you should be a little weary of what they're telling you. But, it's still an election year and there's still a lot unknown with the virus. So it's just kind of defensive right now, but we're active. For sure.
Right. For sure. Man, you got so many questions. I hope you're ready for this. We'll start off with an easy one. Right. I'm concerned about what's happening with all the stimulus when the stimulus ends. How can we prepare?
Sure. So I think, if the stimulus is really keeping you afloat right now, it's a really tough position to be in. Look for opportunities to fill the income void. I guess my best advice would be, just stay really diligent, stay disciplined on your spending, and just look for any opportunity you can. I think the cream of the crop is really rising to the top here in the pandemic, and if you can prove yourself and make good moves, I think, it will end eventually.
Well, and look at your spending, right? There's a couple of great apps that will look at all your recurring expenditures, because I know you deal with all these, high net worth individuals, and they've got a nest egg. Let's talk about 70% of America, right? That they can't survive this. So, recurring expenses, like all your subscriptions. Like, do you really need Netflix? Do you really? Well, actually, I don't know anybody that pays for Netflix. Right?
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. Right. But there's all these little things that just drain you because you're paying for the subscription here and there and there. And if you're really, Greg, if there's really a point to look at those, this is a time to cancel those, right? And make sure you really have exactly what you need, because that, before you know, pennies make dollars, dollars make, $100 bills, and you can really extend that, stimulus further. And I'll put a link. There's a couple of really neat apps that will actually analyze everything and then say, hey, you're not even using this, or, don't go out. Well, I guess we're not going out to get that Starbucks as much, but some people are.
It's a good time. It's a good time to look at what's really important to you, and hopefully I'll talk about this a little later on. But a big part of financial planning is to look at what's important to you. Where do you want to spend money on? Some things are as silly as, if you're looking at cutting expenses, some people say, you know what, no, my priority is fishing. I'm going to have enough money set aside to buy a new fishing rod every month, and that's what's important to me. And you have to be able to live comfortably. You don't want to deprive yourself too much on the day to day, but it's a good time to reevaluate that and where your money is going. And those apps are great.
There's a good rule, right? Like when we're talking 101, how much should you have saved in case you lose your job? Because the economy is changing. What do you think is a good rule of thumb right now?
Yeah. So the rule of thumb, it was 3 to 6 months. And that was, I think any advisor could have, said that to you, or, I think you just hear that from a neighbor, a friend.
Right.
With COVID going on, I think people have really kind of revisited that. And, they're looking at more 9 to 12 months to make them comfortable. And, they keep saying it's so unprecedented, and it is, but it's whatever gives you peace of mind. If you look at your job, the job stability, and how much you think that you can hold on to, whatever gives you that peace of mind is a good number for us.
Well, and it's scary when you think that, I think it was 80% of Americans can't float a $4,000 medical bill. So, now on top of the savings, this also has medical, liability tied into it. And yes, this is an unknown. Let's say we get through it. Let's say we get a vaccine. It's already happened. So next time this happens, it will no longer be an unknown. Right now, it's almost like insurance companies are struggling to figure out how to price insurance because of phones. You guys are going to struggle to figure out how to price savings because of this, right? It's a shift. It's a shift.
It is.
Jennifer's got a great question. Is it too late to start saving or investing?
It is never too late to start saving and investing. As long as you're thinking about it, it's, the best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time to start is today. Yeah, and there's some really good tools. I don't know if you want me to go into some of the tools that we use to help our clients that have been really successful in the past. We use this method that kind of, it fixes your lifestyle costs. The main idea is to fix your lifestyle costs, and that number that I spoke about earlier of what's important to you. Think about that number and how much you need to spend each month to be comfortable. And what we do in our, how we've been able to help our clients is to switch the typical savings method, which
should I show the slide?
Sure, yeah. I think everyone's familiar with sending, $500 from your checking account into your savings account. $500 a month, that account grows quite linearly as the months go by. But if you implement this where you deposit all of your income into your savings account or an income account, and from there you send out a fixed amount into your checking account, and that is the amount that you're going to spend for the month. It goes to retirement, living expenses, debts, other savings goals. But that is training yourself to fix the amount. This avoids the lifestyle creep when you start getting paid more. Maybe your spending starts to increase as well. Keeping up with the Joneses is always kind of something that especially has been trendy with social media and things like that. But if you do implement this, you will see that as the months turn into years, as you get raises, as you progress in your career, bonuses come in, that income account is going to grow just like exponentially compared to how your savings would if you were just sending the $500 a month into it. And so this really, not only can you establish your emergency fund through this, but you can just really meaningfully grow your nest egg to accomplish other savings goals, maybe retirement, 529 accounts, college savings, things like that.
Great graphic. I'm glad we have that. Great question from Barbara. What advice do you have for self-employed professionals, especially with the uncertainty?
Sure. The biggest thing I run into with self-employed professionals is that they haven't really explored their retirement options enough. There are things like solo 401ks, SEP IRAs that you can set up with someone like me or just on your own as well to really start saving and really start stashing away some money for retirement. I think that is the biggest thing that I run into for self-employed individuals is to definitely pick up the phone, talk about your options with people. There are great options for saving for retirement for self-employed professionals.
And you're also saying that what if you become self-employed, right? Like that's actually something that is happening more and more, right? We're in Houston, highest number of DBAs filed in the history of the records, which go back, almost 50 years. So all these people got laid off. They had a job. They probably had a 401k or something, and now they're laid off. Now they're self-employed. What do you think is a good first step in terms of protecting and moving forward?
Yeah. So first step, if you do leave a job, we typically recommend a 401k rollover. And that is, you have your 401k with your old employer. Once you leave that company, you're no longer an employee participant. You're a non-employee participant. So usually you'll take on more fees that used to be covered by the company, or it's a little harder to access the account.
Right. And they're not throwing in the 3 to 6%. So
right. So if you do leave a job, I really urge people to consider doing a 401k rollover into an IRA account. And that really, gives you control over your money. The whole world of investments opens up. In a 401k, you'll have 5 to 10 investment options that are mutual funds put together for a group of people headed towards retirement. Maybe retirement isn't your main goal for life. And once you are in that IRA account, the whole world opens up for you of investment options, and you can really tailor it to what you want to accomplish. And so that's the first kind of step.
And let's you say it because you do it all day, right? Let's be super 101. Hi, sorry, I had a fly in front of me. I'm outside. I'm in Durango. There's flies. How do you do it? I mean, you can go to your banker. Your banker can roll over to a Roth IRA or something like that. What's the actual, you say, but how can they do it?
Right. So it's really important to, I would consult if you are really unfamiliar with it, if you're really uncomfortable with it, you can consult someone like me. I'm happy to, spend 20 minutes on the phone with the 401k company. Usually on your statement, there's a phone number that you can call to accomplish this. And first you want to set up an IRA account, and whether it's, Roth money or traditional pre-tax money, you want to pay attention to that and what you need there. But you want to open the IRA account and then get that rollover check sent over to you or the institution that you're depositing it to. And that way you can avoid any tax implications by doing a direct rollover. So it's going from one tax sheltered account to another tax sheltered account.
And we'll put a bunch of links on here because I think people can see, you can do it through E-Trade. You can do it online. You can do it through a management company like yourself, right? Like a professional like you will actually manage it for them, right? Do you become an agent? Is that can you do it as a one-time deal, or do they have to, would they also have to sign up and be you service their accounts moving forward?
Yeah, sometimes if it doesn't make sense to formally engage, we can just set up some milestones, some investment milestones and goals, and, make sure that, they're on the right track with, and my office's resources are available for people that are referred over to us, and we're happy to help however they can. If they need to call in and, they're confused about something, I'm happy to talk them through, their investment options and what's appropriate for them.
And great question. Jennifer's asking, is it important to diversify first? What does diversify mean?
Sure. Right. So, so diversification is, you look at the market, you saw all the news in March and April, and the market was down almost 40%. And that is just a 100% stock portfolio. The S&P 500 is 500 companies' stocks, an aggregate of all of those. And so when you look at that, it's scary. It's, 40% down. I can't imagine if my 401k went down 40% from 100 grand to 60 grand. That's really shocking for people. And so diversification means that you are not 100% in stocks. We use things like bonds and real estate investment trusts and things like that to really minimize the downside. Because a lot of people don't really realize in investing when, you start off with $1, if you're down 50%, you've got 50 cents left, right?
Right.
But if you gain 50% back, that doesn't mean that you're back at $1. It means that, you're at 75 cents on the dollar.
I'm glad you're good at math. I heard that degree's working for you.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Percentages are super hard. That's one of the ways that people will do discounts. I'll give you 10%. Oh, and now 10% back. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm getting less than what I want. And you're actually using it specifically on stocks, which is a great example of it.
Yeah. And so that just kind of puts into perspective, if your account drops 50%, it's not going to return back to its levels once the market's back at 50% up. So it's really important to protect yourself on the downside. Right. And you use diversification to accomplish that and make sure that you are not going down 50% with the market. And you've got a little buffer there. And we use a Nobel Prize winning method for diversification.
Right. So full disclosure, you're not offering investment advice, and you're not a lawyer, and right. Even though you are, but you're not. This is just a live chat with you.
Yeah.
What would do you have any recommendations in terms of hey, look at some of these industries because they are proving themselves to be, very favorable in this industry. Amazon's gone through the roof, right? Facebook has gone up and down, but it's climbing again. Square's gone through there. Do you see, because obviously in the diversification, we can talk about, hey, there's mutual funds, which by themselves are diversified because they're a fund, but then there's stocks, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people, she's asking, if you're investing stocks, right? What do you see as wow, these are movers that are surprising?
Yeah, tech is so hot right now, and it's really hard to ignore. But the way we look at investing in these sectors of the market is, you look at things like the tech bubble back in 2000 or the financial crisis in 2008. Anyone that was heavily invested in tech or in financial companies, even oil and gas just this year, if you're heavily invested in any of those sectors, you take a hit in your portfolio. And so the way we approach this through diversification is to make sure that we are not heavily invested in any one of those sectors. Right. It's a lot of people want to chase the hot dot. They want to hit the home run with their investments, but our tried and true Nobel Prize winning method of diversification has really proved us well in the long term here.
And I'll throw it out there because I'm not in this field right now. It's like, don't listen to the hype, especially about like vaccines. Like that is, I mean, unless you've got the money to burn and you want to like, there's only going to be, it's a spike and drop, and there's a lot of things out there that people are and you're going to see these questions. I'm just kind of like putting the highlights in there.
Yeah.
This is a great question. Like, what's actually is a financial plan?
Yeah. So we just really want to get plugged in with what is important to you. What do the next 5 years look like? The next 10 years? What are the long-term goals that you want to accomplish? For a lot of people, that's retirement. And, you want to know how much you need to save to have a successful retirement. And a lot of times people aren't aware of how much that is. And you want to be able to get your portfolio to a point where, it's paying you income and you're able to live off the portfolio so you can enjoy your retirement. And so a financial plan plugs in tons of data points like income, spending, big purchases, big windfalls that will come into the portfolio. It's all of these different kinds of data points. And, we've got technology for it. It runs Monte Carlo scenarios if you're familiar with that, but it runs thousands of different scenarios to make sure, the financial plan is bulletproof, or where we have holes and where we need to, really focus our efforts into, whether it's saving or what have you. It's really just a whole look at your life and what's going to happen in the future and how we can prepare for it.
When should you be looking at buying versus renting?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of people, a lot of times in a home, if you're going to stay there over 5 years, it makes sense to purchase a home. But if you're not thinking about it long term, all you're really doing is paying for, bricks and windows. A lot of big expenses come up with being a homeowner. AC goes out, especially here in Texas. If you're not in a financial position to be able to take care of those kinds of things, and really with the upkeep, and if you're just going to have to pay for more, moving costs in the short time span, then renting probably makes sense. It's really good to weigh those options, and that's a really good question.
Graphic up about the rollover reasons, right? Yeah. And we were talking about it, so I think we should kind of just hit those highlights, because obviously people are asking, what are some of the main reasons for that rollover?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, it goes from one tax sheltered account to another, and that avoids any tax implications that you would run into if you just were to cash out the 401k. That's definitely not something that you want to do. And in a 401k, like I said, just investment wise, it's built for a large group of people headed towards retirement. And by that, I mean, the company has chosen these investments to meet some kind of compliance standard. And when you have the money in your own IRA account, you have all of the investment choices that you want on whatever investment platform that you're using at the time. You can select individual investments. You can do things like individual bonds or real estate companies if your 401k didn't offer those things. And you can really tailor that account to be for your individual goals and what you're hoping to accomplish over the next few years through your new career. And again, just when you do leave a company, you are considered a non-employee participant, and that comes with additional fees that you're just losing money to, or just difficulty accessing the account.
That's great advice. I think one of the RVs just turned on behind me. So if you hear this huge roar, that's what's happening. But we're live, so we're going to roll with it.
Yeah.
Jordan, my favorite part of the show, we talk about 3 things people can start doing right now to really start saving and make it better tomorrow. Like, or well, three. Let's do 3 things you should have done yesterday.
Oh dear. Well, I think the first thing that people can do, actually, I'll get away from the technical stuff because I think, just plugging into life in general just will add to everyone's happiness. So I think the first thing you can do is to order The Prepared Investor. The president of our firm has published a book. It's not self-published, actually. A publishing company has picked it up, and it's been compared to Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now. It's called The Prepared Investor, and I think that it's about crisis investing, which was really apparent here in the last March, April. It's a really applicable book right now. I think the second thing you could do is to examine your news sources. I think if you're just getting news from one place, I think you should reconsider, looking at either the other side or just multiple news sources. I think Barack Obama said to David Letterman that someone that listens to Fox News and someone that listens to CNN can just have a completely different outlook on the world and can live in just two different universes. And just look at both sides. I think it's really important, especially these days, to take a look at both sides of the story. And then third, but not least, I think everyone should get out and play some tennis. It's a really low risk activity on the spectrum of, danger with COVID. And it's an amazing game. Get out there, get sweaty, get competitive. If I can be the reason for one person picking up the game of tennis this year, I think I'll consider myself a success.
All right. So hot question. What does an expert like you in financial planning and saving, what do you splurge on? What do you throw your money on?
Well, the things that are important to me are my hobbies. Right now, I'm training for a half marathon. Craig, I'm training for a half marathon, and so I need some new shoes. I also need new tennis shoes. But my hot ticket is that I am on the market for some golf clubs right now. So I think that will be a little splurge that's coming up. But yeah, it's good. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Goodness gracious.
Jennifer wants to know if you give tennis lessons.
Oh, you know what? It wouldn't be right of me to charge for tennis lessons. I'm not that patient on the tennis court. But I can refer you.
And Mad Joe, online shopping? I don't know.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Right. Oh my God.
It's COVID safe.
Right. Of course. Right. It's just such great advice. So good having you on the show. We'd love to have you back, Jordan. I think it's so important to think about these little rollovers, these little tips and tricks. But I think we really do need to even get deeper into just the really simple things we can do to just save, right? Yeah. We now know that it's not 3-4 months, it's 12 months, right? Yeah. And if it's happened once, it's going to happen again, right? If history tells us something, is like, hey, it's and so love having you on the show. Would love to, get your input. Well, I don't want to play you in tennis, but I'll play you in golf.
That sounds good. You'll beat me there.
I'll play you golf, and then we'll go play tennis. Awesome. Thank you so much. And you do offer a consultation. So if people if you text Expert12 to Jordan, you can have a phone conversation, see if it's a good fit. Maybe you can help them with the rollover, but really take on their financial plan. And if they're looking for someone local, because a lot of times you do want to meet them, what would be your advice to look for? What credentials, or what would be an easy, things to be wary of, I guess, if you're helping somebody find a professional like you?
Yeah, I think a good thing is to definitely look into the credentials. We've got I work closely with a CFP on our team, and that's one really highly distinguished certification that you'll be in good hands. They're held to a fiduciary capacity, and that means that they are legally required to act in the client's best interest. So I think that that's one good thing that you could take a look at, and I'm happy to expand on, some other things that people can look at a little later on if we need to.
Good having you on the show. Would love to have you back. Thank you for joining us today, Jordan.
Thank you so much, Gabe. It was so fun.
All right. Well, see you soon. You're going to go on the chat because there's all kinds of questions you need to ask, answer. So Jordan's going to be on the live chat on the Expert35, and we'll have her back because obviously it's super important and timely to have this. So thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the court.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Have a good.
All right, that was Jordan from Expert35 talking about why it's so important to save. Next week, man, we've got a great lineup. We're going to talk about a little bit more about insurance. We're going to talk about opening schools again. There's just so many little pieces that are just changing and they're moving, and so it's really important to be on the lookout for ways to help. And if you know somebody that can be on the show that can help us out, have them text Expert35. Would love to have them on the show. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, stay safe, and we'll see you guys soon.
We educate during difficult times. We collaborate at Expert35. This is for a better tomorrow and a better today. Let's come together, and together we will find a way. You got questions, we got solutions. You got problems, we got resolutions. Visit Expert35.com. No need to worry, just remain calm. No more pain, no more sorrows. We provide solutions for a better tomorrow. No more